Yeah, I got no mouse. I just did a Windows update and it messed up my whole computer, everyone. Sorry about that. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study. We're going to try to anyway, on the universe power directors. See if I can straighten this back up. And that is paper 29. We're in section 4, paragraph 14. And that's on 325 of the original Urantia book. So let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Bear with me just a second. I'm trying to do 2 computers and my wife's not here yet. Okay, here we go. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Pray that you watch over this meeting, open our hearts and minds that we might share this with others. We thank you for those who listen at home, on Facebook, and YouTube, and Vimeo, and we thank you for all those people out there that are being enlightened weekly by these meetings and your book and your revelation, that we might be closer to you. In your will, in your Son's name, Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Amen. See if I can do this whole meeting without a mouse here. Well, nothing's working again. Okay, we're going to keep going, y'all, and I may have to jump back and forth from her computer to my computer, so we'll just give it a try. Okay, and Pam, will you start out reading for us? The physical controllers are chiefly.
The physical controllers are chiefly occupied. I gotta to minimize you. They are, hold on. The physical controllers are chiefly occupied in the adjustment of basic energies undiscovered on Urantia. These unknown energies are very essential to the interplanetary system of transport and to certain techniques of communication. When we lay lines of energy for the purpose of conveying sound equivalents or of extending vision, these undiscovered forms of energy are utilized by the living physical controllers and their associates. These same energies are also, on occasion, used by the midway creatures in their routine work.
Okay, you could spend a whole night just on this first paragraph, but I'm going to make it real short and simple. Okay, first they tell us that the physical controllers, the master physical controllers, and the physical controllers on the planet itself. I'm going to have my camera up here where you can see me. Can you see a little better? Okay, are occupied mostly with adjustment of forms of energy that we have not even discovered here yet. Okay, now keep that in mind. Think about that for a second. When we talk about all these UFOs and UBP, whatever you want to call them, that pop in and out of our planet all the time, think about them. When you think about these undiscovered forms of energy, there's lots of forms of energy out there that we not only don't know anything about, we don't know how to manipulate, we don't know anything, really. And I want to clear something up at the very beginning of tonight's meeting and make everyone totally clear at home and on our meeting and everywhere tonight. Rodney once asked me, I think it was about maybe a meeting, maybe 2 ago, about what the problem with Einstein's theory of relativity. Remember that, Rodney?
Oh, that was Gary, I think.
Oh, was that Gary? Okay.
I
The
think
main, all right, the main problem with Einstein's theory of relativity is this, okay, which has to do with this paper. Time, you cannot accelerate to the point where you travel through time. It's impossible. It's a fantasy. It's science fiction, no fact involved in it. Okay, you also cannot go backwards in time because you can't go reverse far enough to go backwards in time. Time, you have to understand time first to understand why there's a problem with the theory of relativity. First of all, time is just a way of keeping track of consecutive events in a line, basically. Okay. On that line, you can't go forward and you can't go back because the line itself is just a way to track events as they happen in sequence. Okay, so that's the whole problem with the theory of relativity. His theory basically states that if you get to a certain speed, you could go faster than the speed of light. Okay, you could go faster than time itself. So you would be jumping into the future or jumping into the past, and that is impossible. Period. Okay, everybody clear on that?
Clear.
Knowing that is a fact, and they say this is a fact in the Urantia book. Knowing that is a fact, you can understand how all these other energies, we lost Gary again, all these other energies having to do with other things that we have not discovered, we could probably understand how these spaceships and all these other things pop into our planet, and we can see them 1 minute and the next minute they pop out and you can't see them any longer. Okay, and that's part of this adjustment, which affects sound equivalence and vision equivalence. You with me so far? Hadn't lost anybody. Okay, so these undiscovered forms of energy are used by the living physical controllers and associate to manipulate things on this planet. Does that make sense? And Gary, did you hear that? You popped out, so I don't know if you heard any of that or not. So basically,
I did not.
Okay, well, basically what I said was all these undiscovered energies are what the master physical controllers manipulate. And that's why we see these UPs and the UFOs, what do you want to call them, pop into our planet and then pop out and you don't see them any longer. Okay, because they're using energies that we don't even know about yet. Okay, that's basically the whole point. Okay, and these same energies are also used by the midwayers. And a good example, I got two really good examples of that. You want me to share you the two really good examples of that?
Sure.
Yes.
First, you remember in the life of Jesus when they turned the water into wine, when Jesus turned the water into wine. Remember that?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. Well, the way they did that is they manipulated the molecules, the electrons, and everything else, taking away the waiting period of time between the fermentation of the wine and not. You follow me?
Mhm.
So basically, when a creator son wills something and it's and the father agrees, it happens instantaneously. So the master physical controller, as soon as Jesus thought it, it came into being. Makes sense? Because that's what they do. You want to hear another example of that?
Mm-hmm.
Another example of that is when Jesus was lying in the tomb, his body, okay? And the master physical controller, the head of the guardian angels, or the angels themselves, asked to have control of Jesus's body because they didn't want the whole universe to have to sit and watch his body degenerate over time. Okay, so basically they use the same technique to accelerate the degeneration of his physical body, just like they changed the wine. Okay, two examples of the same type of thing. The master physical controllers and the midwayers have the ability to control these together. Make sense?
Uh-huh.
To those that, what would you call that? A miracle, right? Because it's out. Yeah, it's outside our scope of understanding. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, everybody's still with me. I haven't lost anybody. So if you understand those two things and how they manipulate these energies, you got 90% of the ball game right there. Okay? All the
Roger.
miracles, all the things that happen. Yeah, Gary.
I'm gonna have to leave you. My internet, we have a storm here and my internet's going in and out. That's
Yeah,
why
popping in
I'm,
and out.
yeah.
I
So
understand.
I'll see you on the recorded side.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll miss
Okay,
you.
thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Rodney, would you take the next one? Number one, the associate power directors.
These marvelous, efficient beings are entrusted with the assignment and dispatch of all orders of the master physical controllers in accordance with the ever-shifting needs of the constantly changing energy status of the realms. The vast reserves of the physical controllers are maintained on the headquarters worlds of the minor sectors. And from these concentration points, they are periodically dispatched by the associate power directors to the headquarters of the universes, constellations, and systems, and to the individual planets. When thus assigned, the physical controllers are provisionally subject to the orders of the divine executioners of the conciliating commissions, but are otherwise solely amenable to their associate directors and to the supreme power centers.
Okay, so the associate power directors are sometimes assigned to the minor sectors, the constellations, the systems, and even to the individual planets. Okay, and when they are, they're under the provision subject to the divine executioners and the conciliating commissions to do things which have been decided that need to be done by these groups. And so they tell them to do it, and they have the authorization to do so. Okay, and they are still under the associate directors and the supreme power centers are still their boss, but they can assign these divine executioners and the conciliating commissions to make adjustments for them. Okay, and then they have these beings do this. All right. Next, the 3 million associate power directors. Jane, would you take that one, please?
All right. 3 million associate power directors are assigned to each of the Orvington minor sectors, making a total of 3 billion as the super universe quota of these amazingly versatile beings. Their own reserves are maintained on these same minor sector worlds, where they also serve as instructors of all who study the sciences of the techniques of intelligent energy control and transmutation.
So these will be the beings that's going to teach us when we get past the mansion worlds about how all this stuff works. Okay, because they work with it all the time. They understand it. Okay, so there is 3 million of these assigned to each minor sector. So that's a total of 3 billion in our 7th super universe. So you can multiply that by 7 and you'd have 21 billion in all 7 super universes. So a lot of these guys doing this, right? All right. Here we go. Letch, would you take the next one, please?
Sure. These directors alternate periods of executive service in the minor sectors with equal periods of inspection service to the realms of space. At least one acting inspector is always present in each local system, maintaining headquarters on its capital sphere. They keep the whole vast living energy aggregation in harmonious synchrony.
Okay, so they're the directors and they keep everything going. So here's a picture of the system centers and the master physical controllers and the associate power directors. Okay, and then underneath that, we have the associate power directors that shows them on Jerusalem, and it shows that they have executive service in the minor sectors to each of the realms of the universe. And here it's got the mansion worlds and all the satellites around each of the 7 mansion worlds. We forget that there's 7 satellites that go around the 7 mansion worlds all the time. And when you get authorization to go to a new mansion world, you also get authorized for the other 7 satellites, right? Okay, mechanical controllers. Since we get so few people now with Gary Gunn, I'm going to read this one myself. Diane's not here yet. Mechanical controllers. These are the exceedingly versatile and mobile assistants to the associate power directors. Trillions upon trillions of them are commissioned in ENSA, your minor sector. These beings are called mechanical controllers because they are so completely dominated by their superiors, so fully subservient to the will of the associate power directors. Nevertheless, they are themselves very intelligent and in their work through mechanical and matter of fact in nature as skillfully performed. So it's these mechanical controllers that had a lot to do with the miracles we were talking about earlier, right? They actually manipulate the mechanics of how these things happen, right? All right. And they're easy to get confused with the master physical controllers, right? All right.
Roger,
Yeah.
when Jesus fed the 5,000,
Right.
the food elements were multiplied.
Right.
So perhaps these guys had something to do.
Yeah, these are the guys that would have done that, Rodney. All the miracles they had something to do with when they had to manipulate matter of the realm, right? So when Jesus fed the 5,000, when he took three fishes and the loaves, basically they took the mechanical elements of those 3 fishes and the mechanical elements of the loaves and multiplied them enough to feed everyone. Okay, you know, think about this too. In the Old Testament, when it talked about manna from heaven, remember that from the Old Testament? Where do you think that came from? These same beings, right? When people think God just rains down manna from heaven, he's got agents to do that, right? He don't, when God or Jesus or any of the creator sons have something they want to share with their planet, what they want to do, if it's in agreement with the Father's will, there's nothing that can stop it, because there's beings like this that can make it happen, right?
And Roger,
yeah,
point out that never do they break their own natural laws.
That's right. It's all within their realms of purvey to do that, right? They don't go outside what they normally do, right? Every single day. In these miracles, this is their job, to manipulate matter, right? And to keep the electrons going and to keep all this stuff going. So it's not outside the natural laws of the universe, basically. All right, let me give you a good example of that too. Do you not think that if it was God's will, okay, that's the big question, if it was God's will, that because of all these trillions upon trillions of mechanical controllers in all 7 super universes, if it was God's will that he feeds every single being in the universe at the same time, do you not think God could do that? Of course he could, right? He's got all these agencies to do this for him. All he's got to do is bring it in his will and it happens, right? Think about that. All right. Let's keep going. Yeah, Jane.
So when people pray and some prayers are answered, if it
Mhm.
is the will of the Father,
If
are
it's the will of the
these,
Father,
if it's the will of the Father, is it these beings that are facilitating that material change? If
if
there
it's
is a material change.
yeah, if it's a material change, yes, it would be these beings that do that, Jane. Exactly.
Was
Now,
that
think of
the same
some.
with,
Go ahead,
was that
Dave.
the same with Lazarus?
Same thing with Lazarus.
Uh-huh.
Another example of that, Lech, would be what? Self-healing, right?
Yeah.
If you pray to God and it's within God's will that He wants to heal you, who do you think does that?
Yeah.
It's the mechanical controllers. They can manipulate every cell to your body at any particular time. They don't do that unless it's either the will of the Son or the will of the Father, either one.
It
Right?
is through a command of theirs.
It's through the command of theirs that these things happen. Now, remember when Jesus was walking the planet, one of his favorite sayings was, "Ye of little faith," right?
Mhm.
How do you think these things come about? It's through faith. If you
Yeah.
have faith that these things will happen, they'll become the will of the Son. If they're within the will of the Father, they will happen. There is nothing that could stop them. You know, there's no being outside the power of God that can interfere with anything, right? So if it's within the will of God that something happens, it's going to happen. You can't stop it, regardless of what it is. So what did I just teach y'all tonight? I taught you the secrets of the universe. Think about that. That's all. The secrets of the universe. That's what you just learned. The secrets of everything that happens, right? You can literally call it there's no magic, right? God's not a magician. There's no magic to it. He has agents and agencies to do everything within his will, right? Okay. So don't you feel enlightened tonight?
Yeah.
Aren't you glad you came? I'm glad you came. So,
Always.
oh, okay, let's go on to the next one. Pam, you're up for the next one, I believe.
Okay. Of all the master physical controllers assigned to the inhabited worlds, the mechanical controllers are by far the most powerful. Possessing the living endowment of anti-gravity in excess of all other beings, each controller has a gravity resistance equaled only by enormous spheres revolving at tremendous velocity. 10 of these controllers are now stationed on Urantia, and one of their most important planetary activities is to facilitate the departure of seraphic transports. In so functioning, all 10 of the mechanical controllers act in unison while a battery of 1,000 energy transmitters provides the initial momentum for the seraphic departure.
Now, how important is this?
Very.
This is one of the most important things that happen on this planet, because without these beings, no guardian angels could leave the planet with your soul when you die. Okay? These allow the guardian angels to get outside the physical gravity of the planet to be able to take off to go do their job, right? So 10 of these get together, and then they have, 1,000 of these energy transmitters, which cuts off the gravity long enough for these guardian seraphim to in seraphim first on the planet. They start to vibrate, and then they shoot off from the planet at one specific moment. They're gone. Just that.
That's
quick.
so amazing.
It is. Now I'm going to bring something else in here so that y'all understand how important this is. This is the same energies that I was talking about earlier, that probably allow these UFOs or whatever they are to leave the gravity of the planet and be there 1 minute and pap, they're gone the next. Make sense?
Mhm.
And we don't know that these lights we're seeing in the sky are not celestial visitors, right? Student visitors from other places, right? Coming down, checking out Urantia, see what's going on here, and then when they're done, they're gone, right? Just that fast. But these guys, these mechanical controllers, allows this to happen because they are the only ones that can manipulate these energy matter things in anti-gravity. Make sense?
Mhm.
All right. So we cleared up a bunch of stuff today, didn't we? So far. There's a whole bunch of pictures here for you to see all this stuff. All right, you can read through those. In this particular one, it says on the bottom, on Urantia, there are 10 associated mechanical controllers and 10 friend-alikes who are perfect and constant liaison with the nearby power centers. Okay. What do y'all remember what the friend-alikes do? They are like pressure regulators. Okay. And we're going to get down here to the chronodex in a minute, and you're going to understand why there's no travel through time. Okay. We're going to reinforce that. Okay. Let's go on to the next one, the mechanical controllers. Dear, you want to take that one? You haven't had an opportunity to read yet.
The mechanical controllers are competent to directionalize the flow of energy and to facilitate its concentration into the specialized currents or circuits. These mighty beings have much to do with the segregation, directionalization, and intensification of the physical energies, and with the equalization of the pressures of the interplanetary circuits. They are expert in the manipulation of 21 of the 30 physical energies of space, constituting the power charge of a superuniverse. They are also able to accomplish much more towards the management and control of 6 of the 9 more subtle forms of physical energy. By placing these controllers in proper technical relationship to each other and to certain of the power centers, the associate power directors are enabled to effect unbelievable changes in power adjustment and energy control.
Okay, so these beings can control the other types of energy out there that we don't know anything about yet, right? We haven't even discovered, okay? But these are the beings that control these things, including all the stuff that makes all the atoms work, right? All physical matter, all right? Let's keep going. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. The master of physical controllers often function in batteries of hundreds, thousands, and even millions. And by varying their positions and formations, are able to effect energy control in a collective as well as an individual capacity. As requirements vary, they can upstep and accelerate the energy volume and movement, or detain, condense, and retard the energy currents. They influence energy and power transformers somewhat as so-called catalytic agents augment chemical reactions. They function by inherent ability and in cooperation with the supreme power centers.
So their manipulation of these things are innate within them, the types of beings they are, okay? So that's what they do, okay? And here we go with the next one, energy transformers. Now, these aren't the transformers you see on the movies, right? Not the same thing. All right, just making that clear. All right, Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Energy transformers. The number of these beings in a super universe is unbelievable. There are almost 1 million in Satania alone, and the usual quota is 100 for each inhabited world.
Go ahead and take the next paragraph too, Jane.
The energy transformers are the conjoint creation of the 7 supreme power directors and the 7 center supervisors. They are among the more personal orders of physical controllers, and except when an associate power director is present on an inhabited world, the transformers are in command. They are the planetary inspectors of all departing seraphic transports. All classes of all celestial life can utilize the less personal orders of the physical controllers only by liaison with the more personal orders of the associate directors and the energy transformers.
Okay, let me tell you how important these energy transformers are. It's the energy transformer when a seraphim is ready to depart the planet with a soul. Okay, they are the ones that inspect the seraphim transport shell itself to make sure there are no leaks anywhere or anything. These are the beings that make sure that the cargo within the seraphic transport is completely sealed before it leaves the planet to make sure it's safe. Okay, so you can thank these energy transformers that when you die and your guardian angel's ready to leave the planet with your soul, it's the energy transporters that inspects the seraphim to make sure that they're ready to go. And before they'll release them to go, they make sure everything is copacetic so that when that transport takes off, it will not be opened again until it makes it to its destination. And guess where its destination is?
Mansion worlds.
The mansion worlds. That's right. So you will arrive safely. That's
Roger, is
reassuring.
there, how often does this happen?
Every night at midnight from the pole of the planet. All the celestial transports that leave the planet happens at the spiritual pole of the planet on midnight. They start at midnight every night. And if
Midnight
you had midnight, yeah,
for their zone.
yeah, midnight until they're all gone, right? Because there's probably millions of them taking off at the same time, right? Around midnight.
Correct.
Probably starts at midnight, and who knows how long it has to go, a couple hours probably to get everybody gone.
You know,
So-
it's so amazing that there could be an issue or a problem, and that's why they are engaged.
Yeah, that is amazing if you think about
Yeah.
it, Pam, because it makes you wonder if something happened to one of them, what would be the recourse for that?
Oh, right.
You know, we don't know. They don't tell us, right? But, you know, it's interesting to me that they say this in the book. When they talk about the rebellion, they talk about the war in heaven being so devastating because it's a spiritual war. Okay. And in that, it makes you wonder if there's some way that the spiritual essence of a being can be damaged in some way. Right? This is related to that because they inspect every one of these before they leave the planet to make sure that the being inside is safe. Now, if something happens, I don't know what the recourse is. Maybe the creators, or who knows who has to get involved to straighten that out, right? We do know that there's triplicate information on you out there with other beings, right? Not only does the guardian seraphim have all your records and your soul and all this, but who else has? The archangel of the planet, the archangel of the planet, and the thought adjuster, right? So it's like a triplicate of you that is available. If something happens to one, they can reconstitute you from the others, right?
So,
And you would never know. You'd never know anything happened.
so it's like you've
Right.
got two copies of your soul.
Yeah, literally. Because one is with whom? One is with the guardian seraphim himself, right? And there's two of those. So actually, there's probably duplicate copy with each seraphim, okay? Then you also have the backup copy, if you would, with the archangels. There's a backup of every single being with the archangels of the planet.
They
Okay,
use the cloud.
huh?
They must use the cloud.
They must use the. I don't know. That's a full cloud, wouldn't it be?
That's so amazing that the archangel would be used in that kind of,
Well, it's the archangel that's the insurance against rebellion of the guardian seraphim, right?
Hmm.
Because if that archangel goes into rebellion, the archangel immediately removes all trust of all the guardian angels that rebel. Okay, so it's a check and balances,
it's
right?
great.
Yeah, system works any way you look at it. All right, let's go on. Let's I think you're the next one. These
Yeah.
transformers. Yeah.
But in some respects, the energy transformers are the most remarkable and mysterious of all.
No, it's the one right above that. Let's.
Oh, okay, sorry.
These transformers.
These transformers are powerful and effective living switches, being able to dispose themselves for or against a given power, disposition, or directionization. They are also skillful in their efforts to insulate the planets against the powerful energy streams passing between gigantic planetary and starry neighbors. Their energy transmutive attributes render them most serviceable in the important task of maintaining universal energy balance or power equilibrium. At one time, they seem to consume or store energy. At other times, they appear to exude or liberate energy. The transformers are able to increase or to diminish the storage battery potential of the living and dead energies of their respective realms. But they deal only with physical and semi-material energies. They do not directly function in the domain of life. Neither do they change the forms of living beings.
Okay, so they control the energies of these things, but they don't manipulate the forms in any way, shape, or form, right? Who would that responsibility fall
The mechanic.
on? Chemical controllers, and if you think about it, those who instill life in the planet, right? In the
Life carrier.
life carriers. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so they store and manipulate energies for all material matter things. Okay, we're back to Diane again, and then Pam's up, right?
In some respects, the energy transformers are the most remarkable and mysterious of all semi-material living creatures.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They are in some unknown manner physically differentiated, and by varying their liaison relationships, they're able to exert a profound influence upon the energy which passes through the associated presences. The status of the physical realms seems to undergo a transformation under their skillful manipulation. They can and do change the physical form of the energies of space. With the aid of their fellow controllers, they are actually able to change the form and potential of 27 of the 30 physical energies of the super-universe power charge. That 3 of these energies are beyond their control proves that they are not instrumental instrumental, I can't say that, instrumentalities.
Instrumentalities of the unqualified absolute.
Oh, okay, of the unqualified absolute, sorry.
Okay.
I still
Why
can't-
are they telling us this, right? I want to make a point here that y'all are clear on. Why do you think that all these things that are floating around in space don't fall to the earth and constantly destroy the earth over and over and over and over again? It's these guys, okay? The reason there's not all this, you know, even though we have space stuff coming in all the time, it's not enough to affect the living planet, okay? It's, you know, when you see asteroids come in and all these other things, it's not enough to put the planet in danger. You follow me? But if one was coming towards the planet that would put the existence of life on the planet in danger, who do you think could take care of this?
These guys.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So do you think you should sit around worrying about what's out in space is going to come in and hit the earth? No.
So if
Okay.
there was a nemesis nearby star coming near our solar system that could
Yeah.
keep it up, they would be able to stop that with their energy.
Oh yeah, they'd be able to manipulate it and take care of it, right? You know, everything is in control. Now, they don't stop normal upheavals of the world, right? They're not going to stop volcanoes. They're not going to stop hurricanes and storms. These are normal things on a planet as a planet evolves, right? They're not allowed to step in and keep them from happening, right? But if something that would threat the existence of the planet, don't you think they'd take care of that? Think about this. This is the planet of the cross. This is the jewel of the universe. This is the place where Michael finished his 7th bestowal, right? You think they're going to let anything happen to this? No. You think all these idiots in the governments that keep putting their finger on the nuclear warheads, you think they're going to let them destroy the worlds? I doubt it, right? Somebody's going to step in and say, you stupid little person, you know?
Well, that would
That's-
certainly, cause Michael to come back.
It would, because
Yeah.
this is his planet. He's the planetary prince of this planet. You think he's going to let us destroy ourselves? Not very likely, right? They'll let us go to a certain point, but sooner or later, your children, when your children start playing with butcher knives in the kitchen, do you let your children keep playing with the butcher knife? No. What's the difference? I mean, think about it. We got a loving creator that's trying everything they can to keep this place going and keep us going. And we got a lot of stupid people in positions they shouldn't be there trying to do things they shouldn't do, right? The problem is we don't have people wise enough to step in and say, listen, this is stupid. Why are you doing this? And it's throughout so many governments. It's pathetic. It really is. I don't like to get on politics, but it's just sad. It's really sad. Diane and I went to Walmart to get some groceries this afternoon, and the guy started talking to us out of the blue about all these things that's going to happen to this planet, and we don't have time to sit there for 6 hours and explain to this guy, this planet's going to take care of itself. You need to worry about your own life, really.
I think he was concerned about.
Yeah, that's a true
Yeah.
story.
That's just all there is to it. Okay, so let's keep going. We might actually make it through this paper tonight. Okay, Pam, I think you're up next.
In some respects, the energy transformers are the most,
Next one.
Next one.
oh, yeah,
The
right.
Yeah.
The remaining 4 groups of the master physical controllers are hardly persons within any acceptable definition of that word. These transmitters, associators, disassociators, and friend-lengths
Yeah.
are wholly automatic in their reactions. Nevertheless, they are in every sense intelligent. We are greatly limited in our knowledge of these wonderful entities because we cannot communicate with them. They appear to understand the language of the realm, but they cannot communicate with us. They seem fully able to receive our communication, but quite powerless to make response.
So they can understand everything that's going on, but they don't normally make response to anything that's going on, right?
That would take too much time.
Take too much of their time. They're busy doing the things they automatically do. All right. Jane, would you take the number 4 and the one underneath that? You keep getting these one sentence paragraphs.
No problem.
All right.
Energy transmitters. These beings function chiefly, but not wholly, in an intraplanetary capacity. They are marvelous dispatchers of energy as it is manifested on the individual worlds. When energy is to be diverted to a new circuit, the transmitters deploy themselves into a line along the desired energy path, and by virtue of their unique attribute of energy attraction, they can actually induce an increased energy flow in the desired direction. This they do just as literally as certain metallic circuits directionize the flow of certain forms of electric energy, and they are living superconductors for more than half of the 30 forms of physical energy.
So all they got to do is come close. And as they come close, they can change the direction, right?
Roger, can
Yeah.
you explain that last sentence where it says for more than half of the 30 forms of physical energy?
Yeah, there's 30 different forms of physical energy. We are not aware of hardly any of them.
Okay.
These are the physical energies that we have not discovered, and they're not going to teach them to us until we discover them on our own. Boy, that camera
Okay.
fell off.
Yeah, I know, we're crooked.
Yeah. Y'all hang on a second. Let me see if I can straighten up.
It's just for us when it's not online.
Yeah, no, they can, when you read, they can see this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me
Alright.
see if I can move this down. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so yeah, they're talking about most of these energies they're talking about, Pam, we don't know anything about. Right?
Okay.
We haven't discovered them, and they're not going to tell us until we do. Right? Okay. I don't know if we'll make it through this tonight or not. Let me take a quick look here. No, we're not going to make it through this tonight. Okay, I just checking. Go back up here. Thought we might make it through the rest of this paper
This is
tonight.
so interesting.
Energy transmitters. All right. That is the right one. Yeah. This is an interesting picture too. It shows these energy transmitters basically getting in a line, and that's what controls. Let me move this back down. That's what controls how they manipulate these energy paths, which is kind of
It's
neat.
almost like a circuit.
It's like a circuit. That's right. You know, if you put copper wires in line together, that electricity will jump from copper wire to copper wire because it's lined up. And that's the way these energy circuits sort of work too. It's probably a crude example, but that's the way it works. All right. Latch, I believe you're next. Transmitters form skillful liaisons.
Transmitters form skillful liaisons, which are effective in rehabilitating the weakening currents of specialized energy, passing from planet to planet and from station to station on an individual planet. They can detect currents which are much too feeble to be recognized by any other type of living being, and they can so augment these energies that the accompanying message becomes perfectly intelligible. Their services are invaluable to the broadcast receivers.
You know, there's a lot of communication going along from planet to planet, universe to universe, along these communication lines that we don't even know that are there, right?
Roger,
Yeah.
oh, remember something happened with Van. There was a message back to Van.
Van and Amadon, yeah, that got caught in a circuit relay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. Yeah, and it was lodged there because the circuit relay could not initiate he could pass on communication, but he couldn't initiate new communication. So when the circuit was cut for the planet, or well, the local, 67 planets that went into rebellion, the circuit relay could not reinitiate the message. So when it was found, the message was found within the relay, some other being restarted the message to get it down to Van. So he waited 7 years to find out that everything that he stood up against Calagassa was true, and it was right for him to do so. You think about that. Van was one of the Calagassa 100 and had lived on another planet, gone through the mansion worlds, got to Jerusalem, and then volunteered to go out to another planet, just for service. And when he did that, when he got to this planet, it was his faith that sustained him. And when he stood up against the planetary prince of that planet, that he was taking a big, big chance, right?
What would have happened to him?
Well, he could have been found guilty of rebellion himself by the Constellation authorities. But since he was sustained in his actions, he did exactly what he was supposed to do, right? That's what all of them should have done. All 100 of the Calagassa 100 should have stood up against Calagassa and said, this is rebellion against the Creator Son. You cannot do this. But they didn't. Only Van did. Van and 39 other of the group. Out of the 100, 60 rebelled, 40 remained the same, right? With the government. So when he did that, for 7 years, he didn't know what he did was correct or not, but he stood by his faith. And so that sustained him through that 7 years, right? And it's interesting, what was really more interesting is the rest of the local universe wanted to know if Amadon was faithful. Amadon was his human assistant, okay? Didn't have the experience of a previous world. So the question for that 7 years was, what? Is Amadon still faithful all through that period of time? And he stayed faithful to Van for over 150,000 years.
That's amazing.
And he was a human being just like we are, right? So that's pretty good, I'd say. And we've run out of time, so we're going to have to take up energy transmitters next time, where we're at. I hope this helped tonight. So we cleared up a little bit about our genius, right, about time travel and all that stuff. So I got the opportunity to mention that. So I hope that's helped out. Yeah. All right. Well, let's say a little prayer and we will quit for tonight. Jane, would you like to close us in prayer tonight?
Sure. Okay. Oh, beloved Father, we give you thanks for this hour. We give you thanks for each and every one of us, and most of all for all the help that we get through Roger in understanding this book and the complexities of it, even the parts that we don't get, and that we have faith that your creation is perfect, and that we are your children, and you look after each and every one of your children. We thank you for all the blessings of today. We pray that we stay strong in our faith, And we give thanks to Michael Jesus of Nazareth for bringing the kingdom of heaven to us. May we all learn to love him and to be faithful to him. Look after each and every one of us, especially those who are working in your vineyard. Amen.
Amen and amen.
And
And thank you all at home for coming and seeing us. You're muted there. She can't hear you. Oh,
I just said that was just lovely.
Yeah.
Very lovely.
and we thank you at Facebook for listening to us, and Truthbook and Vizio and all the other things. Please come see us again. And I'm going to stop the live feed here. I hope. Yeah, you can stop the recording there. Well, this is not working.